YouTube. Crazy Robot Lady here with another Tiger 2XL tape. Now, for the next few tapes, we are going to stick to Choose Your Own Adventure stories. They included lots of characters that were popular during the 90s. The X-Men, Batman, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and some other comic book heroes. I'm so sorry. Like, yesterday they gave me like hospital grade albuterol during my pulmonary function test, and like I felt like every part of me was alive and twitchy, and I couldn't be still. I couldn't go to sleep. I fell asleep at like 5 this morning and got up at 8. So if I seem as though I'm not with it at any point in this program, it might be true. I don't know what the results of this test are going to be, but normally they don't have to give you a breathing treatment in the middle, from what I understood. So my numbers must look strange. Anyway, whatever. Oh, and I wanted to give a shout out to my friend Sandra Dielita. Welcome to the channel. I was so shocked when I saw your name. I was like, really? She found me. Anyway, okay, I'm really done now. I'm gonna get going, I promise. Today's tape is Batman, Carnival of Crime. Now that's what the title says, but if you listen to the tape, 2XL says Crime Carnival or something. I don't know. It's really strange. But whatever. And I will state aloud, as well as add in the description, that these characters, this music, none of this is mine. I am just demonstrating the robot and going through the adventure. So, let's get going.
Thank you for turning me on. This is 2XL, your favorite robot buddy. Remember me? Of course you do. Or do you? You do look a little familiar, but I better check. If you have ever played this program before, press yes. If you have not ever played this program before, press no. Press yes or no now.
I'm going off of everybody's experience, so I'm going to say no.
No kidding. That's funny. I thought you looked familiar. Oh well, I guess not even a robot is perfect. Not even me. But I try real hard. Anyway, since you have never played this program before, I must tell you, it is very different than other 2XL programs, because in this program, you will help guide Batman through an adventure that will pit him against one of his most dangerous enemies. Remember to always follow instructions. Only press those buttons you are told to press, and only after I say the word now. The choices you make will either help the Caped Crusader or put him into serious danger. It's all up to you. There are so many different possible stories to explore here that I've invited a special guest narrator to help tell the story while I keep track of your choices. I'll be back when it's time for you to help decide Batman's fate. But for now, I'll turn you over to our narrator for the story called The Mystery of the Criminal Carnival. Okay,
Criminal
here
Carnival.
we go.
Most thieves are cowards. They hide in the shadows, waiting for the moment when no one is around to break into cars, homes, jewelry stores, or banks. And Fred Pierce was no exception. He stood in the alleyway, watching as the store clerk placed a closed sign on the window and locked the door behind him. Pierce slyly looked up and down the street to make sure it was empty. Then he stepped out of the alley and began to slink toward his destination. The sign over the shop window read, Max's Jokes and Stuff. Pierce looked at the sign a moment, took a deep breath, and began to pick the lock. Harry Bullock, Gotham City's crudest detective, was driving home from work when he noticed a light on inside Max's Jokes and Stuff store. Bullock was a regular at Max's. He liked the shop's assortment of novelties and was especially fond of the whoopee cushions he would put on Officer Montoya's desk chair whenever possible. But Max's was usually closed when he drove by after work. Was something wrong here?
Tough choice for Harry. You better help him. If you think Harry should stop at the shop and see if anything unusual is going on here, press button 3. If you want Harry to forget about this and keep on driving, press 4. Press 3 or 4 now.
3. Let's see who's in there.
Harry looked at his watch and frowned. He wanted to be home in time for his favorite television show, but thanks to the crook inside Max's Jokes and Stuff, he'd miss it for sure. Now Harry was mad, really mad. He chewed on his cigar angrily and cracked his knuckles one by one before turning the steering wheel sharply and driving up onto the curb. Then he got out of the car and slowly crept up along the wall until he was right next to the shop. Then Harry peered through the window. Inside, he could see a flashlight beam passing over the gags, gimmicks, and magic tricks that lined the shop's walls. The flashlight's circle of light darted back and forth over the wall, and then it stopped.
Oh yeah, there's a crook in there for sure, robbing my favorite joke shop. Man, am I gonna give it to him. Still no sense in busting up the place. I'll just wait for him to come out and grab him then.
Harry waited for 5 minutes, and then the door slowly opened.
Please wait 1 moment. My storytelling adventure circuits are a little crossed. This happens from time to time, especially when I'm in the middle of an exciting adventure. Hold on, do nothing, press no buttons. Just wait, just wait.
All right, you little creep, hold it right there. I got you red-handed. Your joke store robbing days are over.
Fred Pierce jumped when he heard the voice for 2 reasons. First, he thought the streets were empty, and second, he recognized the voice belonged to Harry Bullock, the most fearsome detective on the Gotham City police force. Of all the detectives in Gotham, only Harry Bullock could frighten criminals just by speaking aloud. And right now, Harry was about to let his fists do the talking. He slammed Pierce against the wall. Then he grabbed the bag Pierce was carrying. He opened the bag and looked inside.
What the heck? Are you crazy or what? There's no money in here, just a bunch of joke toys. Joy buzzers, whoopee cushions, squirting flowers, a clown wig. Oh, what kind of crook are you, Pierce?
It was a test, Mr. Bullock. Honest. He said I could join his gang if I brought my own equipment.
Whose gang are we talking about here, Pierce?
The Joker's gang, Mr. Bullock.
Far away in the Batcave deep below Wayne Manor, Batman watched as Bullock pressed the petty crook for more information. Batman had secret video cameras placed all across Gotham City. By the time Bullock finished, both he and Batman knew that the Joker was hiding out in a carnival just outside of town, and that he was about to steal an armored car from the Gotham National Bank.
Even Batman cannot be in 2 places at the same time, so you've got to help him decide what to do next. If you want Batman to hop into the Batmobile and speed to the bank to try to stop the armed car theft, press 3. If you think he should go directly to the carnival to find the Joker, press 4. Press 3 or 4 now.
Go to the carnival. Let's go find this happy bud. That seems a little loud to me.
Batman parked the Batmobile in a wooded area just outside the entrance and scanned the grounds of the Bronski Brothers Carnival. It seemed quiet enough right now. Batman radioed Alfred to get some information.
Alfred, get me everything you can on the Bronski Brothers Carnival. Is it a front for a criminal operation, or is it legitimate?
Certainly, sir. You'll have to wait a moment for that information, though. Would you like to hear the computer's file on the Joker while you wait? Or would you prefer to listen to Bruce Wayne's telephone messages?
Oh,
This is a tough question. Learning more about the Joker might be very helpful in this adventure, but you never know which interesting people might leave messages on Bruce Wayne's answering machine. If you choose to hear about the Joker, press 3. But if you're curious about Bruce Wayne's personal life and would rather hear his telephone messages, press 4. Press 3 or 4 now.
I will be a snoop. Ha ha!
Oh, hi, Bruce. This is Dick. How you doing?
Guys, would you keep it down? I'm trying to talk on the phone.
Sorry, Bruce. Look, I was just wondering if you're still going to help me with my term paper this weekend. Well, the criminology course is tough, and I thought you might know something about the subject. Yeah.
Come on, guys, I'm talking.
And so, can you call me a little later at the dorm? Okay, later.
Sorry for the delay, sir. The computer has analyzed the information on the Bronsky Brothers Carnival and has the following to report. Would you like me to give you the information, or would you rather the computer itself told you about it?
You know, I would prefer to hear Batman's computer give the information, because the computer's voice reminds me of my dear Aunt R6-28. But if you would like Alfred to give Batman the background on the carnival, press 3. If you would like to do me a favor and listen to the computer, press 4. Press 3 or 4
Yeah,
now.
we'll let the computer talk. 4.
Data on Bronsky Brothers Carnival follows. Established 1898 by Jack and Jock Bronsky. Carnival travels throughout U.S. on 9-month, 25-city tour. National crime bank computers indicate unusual number of robberies and thefts coinciding with Carnival's arrival in different cities. Would you care to hear further information?
Sounds like a front to me. What about the performers? How many are there?
Searching. Estimated retrieval 10 seconds.
While Batman waited for the information, he took a look at the carnival grounds. With his special night vision binoculars in hand, he crept along the trees that bordered the carnival. It was dark, and he could see little and hear nothing unusual. But through the special goggles, he could see things that were overlooked by the naked eye. There, in the middle of the park, Batman could make out a huge balloon, exactly like the one used to steal the armored car. There was no longer any doubt in Batman's mind. This was the Joker's hideout. But what would be waiting for Batman once he entered? A beeping sound told him he would soon have his answer.
Payroll listings for Bronsky Carnival to follow. 25 employees, including acrobats, lion tamers, and high wire acts.
Sounds like I'll need some help on this one. Alfred, any suggestions?
Indeed, sir. Give me a few moments to think about it, and I'll try to come up with some options. I hope you won't mind if I put you on hold while I consider the alternatives. Hello, sir. I'm back. But I'm afraid I haven't got much good news for you. I've considered everything, and it all boils down to 3 choices. You can enter the carnival alone, call young Master Dick Grayson for assistance, or allow me to assist you. You know, I was something of a master spy back during my military days.
Thanks, Alfred. But I need your help too much back in the Batcave for me to consider using you here. No, I think I've got just 2 options. Either go it alone, or try to get in touch with Robin and see if he can help.
There's your choice, little adventurer sitting in front of me. If you want Batman to decide to enter the carnival by himself, press 3. If you want him to phone Robin, press 4. Press 3 or 4 now.
Let's see if we can get Robin. I doubt it, though.
Hi, you've reached the number of Dick Grayson, the hardest working student at Gotham University. I'm busy studying right now, but if you want to leave a message, do it now, and I'll call you back soon as I get in. Promise.
Well, Alfred, it looks like I either wait for Robin to get back home or I'm on my own. And waiting here is out of the question. Who knows what's going on in there? The Joker could be planning the crime of the century.
Well, sir, would you like me to leave a message for young Master Dick? Perhaps telling him to meet you at the carnival?
Good idea, Alfred. Just tell him to proceed with caution.
Batman cautiously entered the carnival. Once inside, he was stunned. This carnival was like none he'd ever seen before. It was as if every carnival ride idea had been turned upside down and inside out. Instead of a tunnel of love, Batman was stunned to see a tunnel of hate. Instead of a merry-go-round, there was a misery-go-round. Each attraction was more hideous and terrible than the other. Batman listened carefully for some kind of clue. All he could hear was the sound of the wind blowing through the leaves. He began to step forward and then noticed a sound that made his blood chill. It was a woman's scream, and it came from somewhere inside the carnival grounds. Urgently, Batman moved after the sound, but then, as suddenly as it had started, the screaming stopped. Batman stood alone and unafraid in the center of the carnival. Once again, he put on his night vision goggles to see through the darkness. He noticed the entrances to 2 different carnival rides around him. Each ride had its name over the entrance, but each name had been changed into something twisted and frightening by the Joker. On Batman's left, he could see that the bumper car ride had been changed into the dumper cars. On his right, he noticed that the funhouse was now called the Sad House. If he was going to find the Joker, he had to try one or the other.
If you think Batman should decide to enter the dumper cars ride, press button 1. If you think he'll have more luck inside the Sad House, press 2. Press 1 or 2 now.
The Sad House.
Batman looked at the sign over the entrance. The word fun had been crossed out, and the word sad had been written next to it. So he was going into the Sad House now. Hopefully it would turn out to be a sad experience for the Joker. Batman took a deep breath and stepped into the darkness. As soon as he did, a bright spotlight shone into Batman's face, blinding him. He blinked, trying to get his vision back. And when he did, he was face to face with the Joker. Or at least, the Joker's head. It was around 10 feet tall, and it floated in the air in front of Batman,
Oh, that's kinda
cackling
scary.
gleefully.
Welcome to the Joker's Sad House, Bat Boy. Hope you enjoy being unhappy as much as I love making you that way.
Batman swung at the head, but his hand simply passed through it as though it wasn't there. It was a hologram. In an instant, the head disappeared, only to be replaced by a dozen Batmen. But while each of them wore the same cape, mask, and costume as Batman, they looked nothing like the genuine article. Some were short and fat. Others were tall and skinny. There was even 1 or 2 that were tall and fat. Batman smiled to himself. He couldn't be frightened this easily, not by a bunch of crazy funhouse mirrors.
This might not be as simple as it looks. We better help Batman make a decision here. If you want Batman to take a good close look at the mirrors, press 2. Or if you want Batman to take his Batarang and smash the mirrors right now, press 4. Press 2 or 4 now.
Take a look at these mirrors. I bet you're gonna discover something, though.
Batman stepped forward to get a closer look, and then a short, fat Batman punched him on the chin.
Thunk.
Batman stumbled backward. The pain in his jaw told Batman these funhouse images must be real. The tall, skinny Batman grabbed him by the cape and spun him around. Then he pushed Batman backward as a short, skinny Batman kneeled behind the Caped Crusader. Gloved fists came raining down on him from all directions, and Batman started swinging. First, he connected with a fat, bearded jaw. Then he punched a soft, mushy stomach. Batmen were falling every moment now, but there were just too many of them. If he wanted to get out of the sad house alive, Batman had to think fast. The fake Batmen were too close for Batman to use his Batarang, so Batman reached into his utility belt and removed the last of his sleeping gas grenades instead. He threw it to the ground and held his breath. When the puff of sleeping gas filled the room, the Batman never knew what hit them. One by one, they dropped to the ground, fast asleep. Soon, the room was quiet, except for the snores of the sleeping imposters.
All right, Joker. So much for your mirror trick. Why don't you come out and settle this once and for all?
The air in front of Batman shimmered, and the face of the Joker reappeared.
Aw, Batman, what's the matter? Aren't you enjoying yourself? Don't you want to find out why I call this the sad house? Allow me to demonstrate.
Suddenly, the floor below Batman's feet disappeared. Batman slid down a long, slippery ramp. Batman tried to get a grip on the walls to slow down, but he couldn't. He suspected that whatever was waiting for him at the end of this ramp wouldn't be much fun. When he heard the roar of a ferocious lion in the distance, he was certain of it. Quickly, he removed a pair of suction cups from his utility belt. He could see a light at the end of the tunnel. In seconds, he'd be face to face with the lion. He held onto the suction cup handles and slapped them against the walls. They skidded, but they held, and not a second too soon. Batman was mere feet from the tunnel opening. A deadly paw swung into the hole, ripping Batman's cape. But the lion could not follow up the slippery ramp as Batman slowly made his way back to the surface. When he got there, the Joker and his Batman were gone. As Batman emerged from the ride, he came into an open area that announced two new attractions. On the left was a sign with an arrow pointing into the darkness. Originally, it had said roller coaster, but someone had changed it to roll over coaster. On the right was a sign that read simply, The Whip. Batman recalled that ride from his youth, but he knew that with the Joker in charge, it would be very different from the ride he remembered. Batman decided he wasn't going to try either of these rides. But then, he heard the sound of a woman's screams coming from both of them. And now he had no choice. He had to help if someone was in danger. But which ride should he try first?
If you want Batman to hop aboard the roller coaster, press button 3. If you want him to take his chances on the whip, press button 4. Press 3 or 4 now.
Let's go with the wheel. 4.
Batman cautiously passed under the sign that read, The Whip. But he couldn't figure out how the Joker would twist that innocent amusement park ride into something evil. Still, the screams of terror coming from down the corridor proved that he had. As the screams became louder, Batman began to run down the hall. Suddenly, he felt a stinging sensation at his back. He turned. A series of leather whips had popped out from the walls and were snapping at him like snakes. Batman backed away from them, moving deeper into the tunnel, and again felt whips snapping against his back. Suddenly, the Joker's voice filled the room.
I hope you don't mind me being so obvious, Batman. But you know me, I can't resist a bad joke. And I also can't resist giving you the whipping of your life.
Batman felt one whip slash across his face. Another wrapped around his leg and pulled him to the ground. But Batman knew what to do. All that was needed was a simple knife, which Batman always kept handy in his utility belt. Once he removed it, he began slicing away at the whips. Soon, lifeless leather straps littered the ground. Batman continued through the tunnel until it split off in two directions. Over one path hung a sign that read, The Whip, Honest. Over the other path hung a sign that read, Dunk the Clown. Batman heard screams coming from the direction of the whip.
If you think Batman should try to find the real whip ride, press 2. If you think he should see what the Joker's version of Dunk the Clown is, press 4. Press 2 or 4 now.
Oh, we'll stay on 4. I want him to get wet. I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen.
As Batman passed under the sign that read "Dump the Clown," he stepped over a sign lying face down on the tunnel floor. This new sign and the game it announced was designed by the Joker. The sign read "Beam the Bat," but Batman didn't know that.
Oh no!
Got in, Batman. You're our next contestant.
Batman entered the room just as a baseball came flying at his head. He saw that he was standing on a wooden platform over a large tank of water with a hungry shark. The Joker and his men stood ready, each holding an armload of baseballs.
If one of my boys beams the bat, down you go, just in time for dinner.
The balls started flying at Batman, but he managed to catch most of them and started throwing them back at the tank walls. Soon the glass shattered, sending thousands of gallons of water and one angry shark crashing down after the fleeing villains. When Batman got outside, the Joker and his men were gone. Batman wandered through the amusement park. He had been through most of the rides by now, and although the Joker had until now managed to escape him, Batman felt he was close to getting what he came for. Soon the Joker would be out of tricks and out of luck. But judging from the light in the distance, Batman figured the Joker had one more crooked hand to play. As Batman came closer to the light, he began to understand what it was. There before him was an enormous tent. Where all the other amusements he'd visited so far had been dark and gloomy, this tent was alive with colorful lights. The sound of music blasted from inside. He could hear the sounds of pinball machines and video games. Over the tent door hung a brightly colored neon sign that contained the single word, arcade. Batman breathed deeply.
Okay, Joker. Here I am.
Then he stepped inside. Inside the tent, Batman was confronted by 4 doors. He had come to expect some kind of advanced warning of the type of terror awaiting him in each ride. But these doors simply had the numbers 1 through 4 printed on them. There was no clue as to what manner of trap would be on the other side. Batman stood outside the 4 doors and scratched his head. This was the toughest choice of all.
Choose a door, Caped Crusader. But remember, you only get one choice. Step into a room, and there's no turning back. Yeah!
That's it then. Choose a number, any number. But remember what the Joker said. Once you choose, there's no turning back. Choose number 1, 2, 3, or 4 now.
2.
Batman stepped through the door and onto a vast, slightly tilted plane. He noticed the floor below him was as smooth as glass and had colorful designs painted all along the surface. Scattered across the floor were strange objects that looked like huge metal mushrooms. The tops of the mushrooms glowed brightly. Along the sides of the plane, Batman noticed large triangular boxes that were surrounded by huge rubber bands. Try as he might, Batman couldn't figure out what he'd walked into.
Okay, Joker, I give up. What is this place?
The voice of the Joker filled the air.
Can't you guess? No? Well, you'll figure it out sooner or later. Have a ball.
Batman heard the sound of metal rolling against the wood. Then he felt a rumbling sound. It got stronger and stronger. And when Batman looked into the distance, he could see a huge steel ball rolling down the plane toward him.
I can't believe it. I'm in the middle of a giant-sized pinball game.
Batman watched as the ball bounced off the mushroom-shaped bumpers, metal spinners, and flashing lights, picking up speed as it came close. He tried to flee, but before he could move, the ball smashed into him. Batman awoke to darkness. He couldn't see an inch in front of his face. He groped around in the darkness until he felt a smooth, cool wall. He pressed his ear against it, but could hear nothing. Then he tapped on the wall. It sounded like it was made of solid steel. After a few moments, he got to his feet and felt along the wall. He wanted to get a better idea of where he was. All he could determine in the darkness was that he was in a steel box around 10 feet long. The crunching sound he made every time he took a step told him there were scraps of paper all along the wall. Suddenly, a rectangle of light about the size of a mailbox slot appeared on the opposite wall. Sunlight streamed in. Then a pair of evil green eyes appeared behind the slot. It was the Joker.
Uh-oh, looks like Batman's in real trouble. I bet he could really use your help right now. What would you do in a situation like this? If you think Batman should make a leap for the Joker, press button 1. If you think he should reach for a weapon in his utility belt, press button 2. Or if you think he should do nothing, press button 3. Press 1, 2, or 3 now.
Well, let me think about this for a second. More than likely, considering the fact that he was knocked out, his utility belt has been stolen. I don't know if he could leap at him because there's a steel wall in the way. I hate to do it, Batman, but I'm gonna have you cool it. Cool your heels. You might learn something.
Batman remained seated against the wall opposite the open slot. When the Joker saw Batman was not going to try anything to escape, he began to look almost sad.
What's wrong, Bats? Aren't you going to try to do something really stupid? Like try to escape?
Not yet, Joker. Not yet. But when I do, you'll be the very first to know all about it.
I guess it's safe to tell you what I'm up to, Batman, because I'm certain there's nothing you can do about it. You see, about a year ago, I had this wonderful idea to buy a carnival. What better way for a fella like me to spread joy to the world? So I approached the Bronsky brothers and made them an offer they couldn't refuse. Since then, me and my boys have been touring the country, entertaining the public while robbing their banks. And then a few weeks ago, I, the genius that I am, thought to myself, why go to the trouble of going all the way into town to rob their banks when they're going to come here anyway? So I set up all those rides you sampled a while ago, Batboy. And when the carnival opens in a few hours and the public lines up at the gates to get in, they'll never know what hit them.
Batman was furious. He clutched at the papers scattered around him and shook them angrily at the Joker.
Oh, Bats, I just love it when you act like a true superhero. Sit tight and keep an ear out. If you listen hard enough, you should be able to hear the screams of innocent customers.
Then the Joker shut the tiny slot, and Batman was once again plunged into darkness. But not before he recognized what he was holding in his hand. A pile of crisp $100 bills. Now he knew where he was. Inside the armored car the Joker had stolen, with all the money. As he sat in the darkness, Batman wondered how he could use this information to his advantage. Just then, Batman remembered something else. The tiny walkie-talkie he always kept inside his boot. He removed it, and although it was dark, managed to switch the tiny communicator on.
Alfred, are you there?
Sir? Oh dear, sir. It's 8 a.m. I must have fallen asleep at the console. Are you in trouble?
Actually, Alfred, I just figured out what I'm in. Now I've got to figure out what I'm going to do about it. But in the meantime, I know the Joker's planning a major disaster for the carnival goers today. And I need to make sure he never pulls it off.
I see. Shall I summon the authorities? Or would you rather speak to the boy Wonder?
Good question, Alfred.
Well, what would you do? If you want to call the police and let them know what's going on at the Joker's Carnival, press 1. To call Robin and get his help, press 4. Press 1 or 4 now.
Oh, let's call the police. I'm through playing with him.
Batman's walkie-talkie transmitted to the phone at Commissioner Gordon's desk. This was a special phone, reserved for use by Batman only, and Gordon had been up all night waiting for it to ring. He thought Batman might be in trouble.
As a matter of fact, Commissioner, I am. But I can deal with my problem, I think. It's innocent lives I'm worried about here. The Bronski Brothers Carnival. You've got to make sure no one attends it. It's a front for the Joker. He's planning to rob all the visitors to the carnival as soon as they...
Yes, we know about it. One of our detectives, Harry Bullock, did a bit of investigating and discovered the Joker's connection to the carnival and the armored car heist. We've kept all civilians clear of the area. Naturally, Bullock wants us to storm the place, but I was waiting to see what you had in mind.
Batman paced back and forth in the tiny room, kicking $100 bills about as he planned his next move. He knew that he might be able to stop the Joker himself if he could only get out of the armored car jail.
Commissioner, I think I have the solution. Have your men gather out of sight, just beyond the carnival's parking lot. I'll signal you when it's time for them to move in.
Batman knew he had two choices. He could set fire to the money all around him. Even the Joker would open the door if he knew all his cash was going up in flames. On the other hand, he could use the special frequency on his walkie-talkie to call for the Batmobile. Batman calculated that he could set it on a collision course with the armored car. If he hit it just right, like the precise billiard shots Bruce Wayne used to win the Gotham City Athletic Club championship, the door would go flying.
Talk about big decisions. This one is really a matter of life or death for Batman. It's up to you to decide. So which is it going to be? Press 3 to summon the Batmobile, or press 4 to heat up some of the Joker's cold cash. Press 3 or 4 now.
Let's call the Batmobile. Because this is my reasoning. Because he's inside the armored car with the money. And if he sets the money on fire, and he doesn't have his utility belt or any of his awesome futuristic protection crap, how is he supposed to keep from going unconscious from all the smoke? Or am I being too realistic? This is a cartoon.
Batman told Alfred to continue trying to get in touch with Robin. Then he switched off the walkie-talkie and fumbled with it in the darkness until he felt its frequency dial. He twisted the dial all the way to the right, remembering that this was the special frequency he used to signal for the Batmobile. Just outside the carnival grounds, hidden behind a line of trees, the Batmobile stirred. First, its light went on. Then its engine turned over and began to purr. At first, it sounded like nothing more than a contented cat. But the engine grew louder and louder until it began to sound like a savage lion. Batman's voice could be heard from the speaker inside the amazing automobile.
Batmobile, begin high-speed search sequence. Track signal origination point. Begin in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Batmobile's tires squealed as it tore through the woods toward its destination. Meanwhile, Harlequin sat at the wheel of the armored car, lazily examining the compartments of the utility belt the Joker had taken off Batman, before tossing him into the tiny room behind her. The Joker had instructed her to make certain Batman didn't try to escape. So far, she thought, this job is a piece of cake. But then she heard Batman's voice from inside the small room.
Hey, who are you talking to in there?
Harlequin turned to face the closed slot that looked into the armored car's storage room. She slid open the mail slot-sized door and peered inside. There she could see Batman, his back pressed against the wall, as if he were bracing himself for a terrible jolt. He looked straight into Harlequin's eyes, and Harlequin thought she saw him almost smile.
You know you're going to lose, don't you?
Harlequin began to laugh. But just then she heard a screech of tires and the roar of a powerful engine. She turned to see where it was coming from, and wham! The Batmobile smashed into the side of the armored car. Harlequin flew to the ground as the armored car was lifted into the air and came down with a crash. The back door sprung open, sending millions of dollars billowing out into the air. When the paper money finally settled to the ground, Batman was free. He picked the groggy Harlequin up, locked her in the armored car, and began walking toward the carnival grounds.
Oh boy, now what should Batman do? Should he hop into the Batmobile or search for the Joker on foot? Either way, I think the Joker's goose is about to be cooked. But it's up to you. Press 2 to use the Batmobile. Press 4 to go by foot. Press 2 or 4 now.
Be quicker if you use the Batmobile. 2. Oh.
Batman hopped into the Batmobile and revved the engine. The amazing car took off with a start, roaring toward the main carnival grounds. No customers had arrived at the Joker's cruel carnival. In the middle of the main area, a furious Joker fell silent as he heard the sound of the Batmobile in the distance. Then he looked toward the sound and saw it. For a minute, he couldn't believe it. But there it was, the Batmobile. And it was getting closer every second. The Joker rushed to the middle of the carnival grounds and began to scream.
He escaped! Somehow he escaped! And he's coming! He's coming! Get him!
The Joker's men all started scurrying about, grabbing deadly missile launchers from their hidden places. The Joker had prepared them for a moment like this. The Batmobile was almost upon them, but when it arrived, they would be ready. They formed a line, each man holding a missile launcher aimed at the Batmobile. Inside the Batmobile, Batman watched as the Joker's men aimed their weapons at him. Batman thought the missiles might actually be powerful enough to damage the bulletproof Batmobile, but he did not intend to find out. Just as the Joker's men fired their missiles, Batman turned the steering wheel sharply. The Batmobile screeched to the side, avoiding the missiles and crashing through a nearby tent. The Joker's men were puzzled.
What the heck is he doing?
I don't know. Maybe he don't know how to drive. But Batman knew how to drive, and he knew exactly what he was doing. As he crashed through the first tent, the Batmobile's razor-sharp wheel blades cut through the main tent pole. The pole began to fall, taking the entire tent down with it. The tough fabric landed on top of the Joker's men, who could not get out of the way in time. Then Batman steered the Batmobile toward the next tent, where he sliced another tent pole. The second fabric tent landed on top of the first, but Batman still was not finished. After a few moments, all the tents were down and all of them had fallen on top of the Joker's men. They were all trapped beneath the billowing fabric of the criminal carnival's tents. Batman pulled the Batmobile up alongside the tents to take a look. He was about to radio Alfred to ask him to call the police when he heard a roaring sound in the distance. He turned to see the armored truck drive off. It was being driven by the Joker. Batman revved up his engines as he took off after the clown prince of crime. In moments, the carnival grounds were far behind him. Now he was speeding down winding roads, driving the Batmobile as fast as he could to catch the Joker. The Joker had too much of a head start. The armored car disappeared over a hill in the distance. Batman knew his foe had escaped him once more. But then, Batman heard the sound of helicopter blades. And then, rising straight up over the hill, Batman saw a helicopter. A familiar voice suddenly came through the Batmobile's radio.
This is Robin. Alfred told me you were in trouble, Batman, so I came as soon as I could. The police have the place surrounded.
The helicopter continued to rise into the sky. Batman noticed a heavy steel wire was hanging from the bottom of the copter.
He said you were looking for the Joker, but you couldn't seem to get your hands on him.
The helicopter was higher than ever now, and Batman could see there was a huge metal claw hanging from the bottom of the steel wire. The claw was hooked onto the armored car, and it was floating in the sky. Inside, Batman could see the Joker. The clown prince of crime was crying as he pulled at his green hair in frustration.
Well, I think I found what you were looking for.
Thanks, Robin. Drop him anywhere. Only kidding.
Nice job. You
Woo!
got Batman through this this entire adventure and helped him catch the Joker to boot. Congratulations to you. But your adventure is not over yet. If you want, you can rewind this tape, start all over again, and press different buttons. And if you press different buttons, different things will happen in this story, and different things will happen to Batman. So if you want, you can please rewind this tape now.
So yeah, there is one adventure story done. There are several. So if you guys are interested in these, keep a listen. I will try to fit into the title when I go back to the educational tapes. I figured I'd do the adventure stories first because I think they're a little more engaging. But anyway, I hope all of you enjoyed this video. As usual, like, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell so you will know whenever I upload new content. God bless, and I will see you in the next video.